Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one and all, to PSGL, and welcome back. We're in season 36, baby. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good time, and I'm looking super forward to it. I'm your, main producer for tonight's Sappytron. I'm joined by the one and only Nathan Richards, aka Richie. Now, tell me, my friend, we have not got much time to go before we're about to jump into qualifying. We do apologise, there were a couple of issues in the back end, but how are you feeling about this season? We've got quite a roster.
Yeah, it is brilliant to be back, and this roster I would say is arguably better than last season's, and normally we see the rosters drop quality, so it's great to be back, of course, here for some more Eto action here in season 36, of course. And if you can quickly have a look at the driver placement screen, we can see who's about where on this grid. So obviously in the Sabre car, we've got Matt Scrosspointer and Bradley Holdham. Obviously we all know them from the Velocia Academy team. Over in the Haas, we've got Joost Noordijk and Julian Klaffenbach for, well, as we know, RHG. Then in the AlphaTauri, we've got Lillian Debecourt and Kai Pearson in our race clutch lineup. McLaren, we have got Tiger Hardy and Daniel Kaya. Then in Alpine, we've got Lily Papinta and Reese Linton. Mercedes, Sergio Sobrino and Joris Krozen. To mention, we've got seven race clutch drivers here in this season. A lot of race clutch drivers making an appearance. Then in Aston Martin, we have Jan Herde and Nico Benz. Nico is a driver that's really flew through the ranks recently coming back from the Xbox side over now to the PC. And then Red Bull, we've got Liam Stevens and Leo Lund, those two very young hotshots looking to try and make some form here in this season. Ferrari, we have got Mirko Soriano and Kamil Sasha. Obviously, Mirko, remember back in season 34, was fighting for the championship and lost it in the final race. And then finally, our final team is Williams with Kian Gondorp and Szymon Lekomski. Obviously, Kian finished third in the standings last season, obviously behind Max and Tamas, and Szymon Lekomski, I believe, finishing fourth. Those two definitely going to be looking to try and fight for the championship this season. But Sappy, we've got such a really good grid this season, haven't we?
We've got such a good grid. I'm super looking forward to it. And we are wasting zero time because we are jumping ourselves. So yeah, we are having a little bit of a technical hiccup. I can only apologise for that immensely. So we are looking at getting it resolved ASAP. What we do know, though, is that we've got everyone out on track. And before long, it is going to be... This was scaled correctly in the test run. I'm not sure what has happened. But we are cooking. We are back on gasoline. And let's go. We're on board with Mirko Soriano. First one out. And he's going to be setting the initial benchmark.
Yeah, a 43.9 there for the first and second set to split for Mirko Soriano now heading down in towards turns number 11. We'll see what he can do in towards this section, breaking around a 50-metre board, getting yourself back on the power nice and early on the exit as you head your way through now in towards this final set to down in towards third gear, in towards this left-hander before getting back on the power in the final corner to round off your lap. And we'll see what can Mirko Soriano set for the first lap time in this session. What will it be for the Ferrari? It will be up to the top with a 1:16.094, a brilliant lap to open up the session. Lillian Debecourt into second with a 1:16.375. Kian Gondorp goes into second with a 0.262. We've got many lap times coming through, Sappy, and still, this grid is going to be so close towards the end of qualifying. As you can see, Kai Pearson there just popping up ahead of Kian.
Yep, and you've got a few more drivers who are going to be coming through now. That's going to be Stachura going for an abandoned. Szymon Lekomski, 16.119. They're going to be setting a pretty good time on the books. Haas coming across, no dice. Sergio Sobrino across the line. Think they're going to be starting their lap rather than finishing it now. As you have Liam Stevens, 0.184. Second Red Bull behind that's going to be Leo Lund, only a P7, 16.417. Nets them seventh fastest so far in this session. And then you've got the McLarens coming around, Daniel Koya and Tycho Hardy.
Indeed, as we can see Jan Herde as well heading down in towards turn 11, but a great start to the season there from Liam Stevens in the P4 at the moment. Didn't have the best qualifying or race last season in season 35, so he'll be looking to try and pick up this season, get himself maybe even a podium in this championship. As we can see a few more cars coming through up towards on it. But Nico Benz to the top with a 15.965 to get us into the 1 minute 15. Julian Klaffenbach into second place with a 0.006, and Jan Herde going into P7 there with a 1:16.192. We've got Joris coming through as well. Actually, he's let off on his lap in the first set, so he not enjoying the first part of qualifying. Reese Linton as well, he's heading down in towards the end of the first set to the 26.434. We'll see what he can manage to do on this lap. Obviously, Reese Linton moving over from the Xbox side. Recently took a victory last season at Miami, so he'll be also looking to get himself some more victories and even be looking to fight for the championship in season 36 as he heads his way now down in towards the high-speed chicane at turns 9 and 10. We can see just throws the car into sixth gear, back on the power. And this circuit, Sappy, I'd say is going to be one of the most technical on this calendar. It's really difficult to get the hang of.
Well, it's really high commitment, that's for sure, because you have some sections of the track, like the remodeled Sector 2, which absolutely command the best out of you. We just saw there from Reese Linton how close he got to the wall. Inches separated him and taking a tyre off, but let's see what he can do. If that run was enough, was it sufficient risk? He's going to come up to the line now, 15.9 to beat, it's a 16.1, it's going to put him in 5th position. So far, Nico Benz, only driver to crack the magic 115 barrier, and that's the golden standard. That's what you want to aim for. Joris Krozen is going to be heading into the pits, and then we've got a few more cars who have yet to set a time, namely one of the Saubers and Bradley Holdham, one of the Hasses, and both Mercedes.
Indeed, yeah. Obviously, Mercedes not off to the best start. Of course, Joris and Sergio, a very strong driver pairing. Obviously, part of the Red Scotch team, indeed. So, I mean, I'm hoping they can get themselves a few points this season. I think they definitely well deserved of it. We can see Tycho Hardy on an 8 lap at the moment in the McLaren. We'll see what he can do this season. Obviously, in S7R alongside Daniel Kaya. These two have been with me in culture for the past 3 or 4 seasons. So I've been with these two a long time, and it's been nice to see them develop as the seasons have gotten on, and luckily to see them back here, both racing in PCF2. We've obviously got Lenny Papinta, who invalidated on his run initially, so we'll see if he's going to set a run now. He's heading down in towards turn number 11, so we'll see what he can do at this point. But Lenny, again, I think he's a driver that he turns up every race, even if he's not on the podium every time, he will be looking for the championship because he's very consistent. Lenny's one of them, you can see him turn up and be top 5 every single race, even if he has a poor qualifying, even if he has a mistake in the race. He's always really, really quick as we see him head back into the pits, obviously not too happy with that initial run. And another surprise is, Sappy, so many drivers haven't got those first times in.
Yeah, we're seeing quite a significant chunk of the field not have an initial time on the board, and I am a stickler for the mind games and the mental play. Not so much the mechanical skill, while as big of a part that plays. What separates these top drivers at this level is, as well as the mechanical skill, having the racecraft, having the strategy, and having the mental game to keep up. And one of the big parts of that is qualifying. You have to have a banker lap because that gives you a mental safety net. I think of it in terms of game design. If you have pillars you jump between, it's a lot easier than just lone blocks stuck in the air. The one with pillars, despite being on paper the same difficulty, you've got the safety net behind you. But Tycho Hardy invalidates through the second section. That high commitment left-right has seen him go a little bit too much off into the curbs, and he's not going to be taking this time home.
Of course, and when you talk about qualifying, I think there's probably 3 or 4 times which are you're under most pressure, which I think will probably be the start of the race. When you get underway, you're really under pressure now, and you've got to get a good start. And then also those qualifying laps. I think apart from it, you can kind of settle yourself down. But when you're in that qualifying phase, you're always so much on the edge. You've got to push every corner, and you've got to make sure you don't push enough to end up invalidated or end up crashing. It's I don't know how the drivers can do it, because I get pressured on a 5-lap race. Never mind, PCF2 in a qualifying stage, trying to get yourself onto pole position. As we can see, Mirko Soriano coming through in that middle sector now, up by 22 thousandths. Goes wide though, and we've seen that multiple times already. That turn 10 exit out of that chicane is absolutely horrible. It's lethal for the drivers, as we can see some of the 5-place penalties coming through, meaning we will have a restart at the end of this qualifying session. We've got Lilian Derbacor on lap as well. He's also invalidated, I believe, down at the exit of turn 10. We've got Sergio Sobrino, Slappy, just heading through in towards the end of that first sector. But I think surely some of the drivers will want to sacrifice maybe a tenth of a second just so they don't invalidate on the exit of that high-speed chicane.
Yeah, well, let's say they're aiming for a 16 flat. Just sacrificing a tenth and a half will still put them around P8, because you, by nature of having a time on the board alone, like I look in the instance of Sergio Sobrino here, he's P18 on the books. Just getting a time alone will put him in P14. and that can make a major difference. But at this level, drivers are leaving absolutely nothing to chance. They're putting it out all on the table, and let's see, heavy on the brakes heading into that tight right-hander there, and a little bit of traffic coming up on him. Is he going to be able to side his way through efficiently? Yep, they get out of the way. Good sportsmanship being shown from the other drivers. One of the things we pride ourselves on with the racers here in PSGL. And let's see, as he comes around and comes through the final corner, that is going to be 16.3. And yeah, like as we say, a little bit of a yield. He has still got himself a healthy points bump, or positions bump, I should say.
Indeed, as we can see, Camille coming through in towards that first sector now. He was also a driver back in F3 last season, was, one of those at the top. I think he took pole about 4 times in the first 6 races. He was really on it in qualifying, so I think he's a driver that we should be expect to be looking to fight for pole position here tonight in the Australian qualifying. Obviously, still no one able to get into the 115s bar Nico Benz, and we've had many drivers be on their second runs and still can't get close to it, so they're definitely going to have to find something in the bag, or just Nico is absolutely just better than everyone by a mile. As we can see Camel now just heading down in towards turn 12. Well, he's come out that second sector, I believe. Obviously, he wasn't up on time because he hasn't set one yet, but I believe his second sector was very nice indeed. He comes through now in towards number 12 and 13. Very nice so far as he hits onto the brakes, down to third gear. Gets back on the power nicely. We want to try not to lose the rear too much, as you can end yourself in the wall, and that will be your qualifying over now, which you can see gets the DRS open up towards the line. It's quite a long run to the start finish straight here. It will be P2 for Stasher with a 9.88. So now more drivers seeming to get themselves into that 1 minute 15s. Could put a little bit more pressure here on Nico Benz, who actually is on a lap now, and I think he might be up in that second sector.
Yeah, and it's just 23 thousandths of a second here, and we can see Nico Benz, he could take the challenge, he could push himself even further. He is going to be behind, but that is certainly going to make him sweat a little bit. He thought he was safe in the 15s, but Stasher has come in and said, no, I can do that too, watch me.
Indeed, very nice lap there from Camel. We've got Lanipa Pinter as well, coming up towards line. What can he set for the Alpine? Goes into P4 with a 1:16.022. We've got many drivers still on lap times now. I believe we've got Tycho Hardy heading down in towards that final. So now he's still in the middle sector. As Reese Linton goes to the top there by a 1/10 of a second with a 1 minute 15.854. Brilliant lap time there from Reese Linton. I'm just trying to find out who's on a lap and who's near the end of that final sector. We can see, I think, going through was, I think, Kin Gondut popped himself into P7 earlier on. We can see Mirko Soriano heading down in towards turn number 3. Further back, we can see Joost Noordijk as well. He's on a lap. Obviously, Joost was, I think, finished 5th in the championship last season. He was a very quick driver. I think he was definitely quicker in the race than he was in qualifying. So, it's not really surprising to see him normally a little bit lower down. But I think, this season the grid a little bit different, so he might be able to shape himself up a little bit more to get himself some higher positions. Tycho Hardy, however, into the top 10 with a 1 minute 16.105. We've got one of the Ferraris heading back through into the pits. We've got Joost Noordijk heading back in towards the pits, and I think for now there's not many runs being made on the board, but still, Lilian Derbicourt down in P19. He's a driver who I was thinking at the start, before the season started, he'll be looking to be fighting for the championship.
Yeah, you can see Soriano passing 3 cars who are on their out laps or on their cooldown laps and making his way around the traffic. Interesting thing though, Tycho Hardy, Joris Krozen, Jan Halliday, 3 drivers, 4 milliseconds. Margins are pretty tight here in PCF2. This new season's looking to be spicy, but Mirko Soriano coming up to the line now. 15.9 to beat, 15.9 he hit. That is going to be a P2 spot for him, and very nicely done. 20 milliseconds ahead of Nico Benz. And it's going to make Ferrari very happy, a 2 and a 4.
Indeed, yeah. Ferrari going to be very excited about that time there to put themselves into P2, of course, with Mirko Soriano. The only issue they have with being 2nd and 4th is if there was a safety car to come out, they would then have to make one driver probably go a little bit longer or have to go and not pit because of obviously having that double stacking effect. I think apart from that, there's no other reason why you wouldn't want to be sitting 2nd and 4th in a team. As we can see, Tycho Hardy heading back into the pit lane. We've got Mirko Soriano heading through in towards turns 9 and 10. He'll also be going back in towards the pits, and then we'll have yet again a bit of a wait till everyone goes out into circuit. And as I say that, we got one of the Hasses out. That'll be, I think, Julian Klavenbach. It will be heading down into turn 1. Obviously, Julian, a bit of controversy on in last game, was not able to race, unfortunately, in the last couple of seasons. But recently joined himself in towards the RHG team, doing a brilliant job so far, obviously over in the E-Series Championship. So we'll see if he can try and also find himself for some very decent points here in F2. Obviously on his bank lap, still putting himself P5, even though a few drivers ahead have got ahead because of their second lap. So he could be looking to pose a bit of a risk to many ahead on the board at the moment. We've got his teammate Joost Noordijk as well, who's also part of RHG. He's heading at the pits as well in towards turn number 4. But obviously, Sappy, I'm going to ask you chat in a second, but who do you think will take pole position here for the first round?
Well, Reese Linton has made a pretty solid challenge. There's a lot still on the table. We've got a lot of drivers who I know want to improve. And in fact, we've got a lot of drivers who I know for a fact can go faster. They've said it themselves. They can achieve a bit more. So I'm looking to see who's going to bring out their proper quali merchant, who's going to bring out the absolute A game here. I am keeping an eye on the Hasses, both of them, Joost Noordijk and Klaffenbach. But Reese Linton, gotta say, 0.854, that is a heck of a statement to make in our first race, our first season, since season 32, I think you said, that we've had Australia.
Indeed, and that was, well, that was a long time ago. That was back when Will Lewis was the F2 champion, which has definitely been a bit of a long time here, indeed, in PSGL. But for me, I'm going to go with Nico Benz for pole. I think he's been he's done a brilliant job so far. I think he's also one of the youngest drivers in the grid, so he's a driver that, teams will definitely be keeping their eyes on. So he's going to be my pick for pole. But guys, let us know in the chat who you think will take pole position here tonight for the Australian Grand Prix. I can see right at the start of the stream, Check Mapping said that it's going to be Jan Halliday for the win. And then obviously Frankie agreeing with me when I said, will it be a record? Do you reckon it'll be a pole to win for Jan Halliday? So a lot of a lot of people keeping their eyes on the Aston Martin development driver, who's currently down in P12. So not looking too strong yet. But then again, he's only 2/10 off pole, which I would say is, we never saw gaps that close last season, I don't think. This season so far, even in F3, the pole position to P15 times have been absolutely phenomenal.
Yep, and it really goes to show the consistency and the level of skill. As you get to these kind of levels, the F3s, the F2s, and eventually the Holy Grail that is the F1s, you really see all of the times converge. We've seen in the past that drivers have been able to pull out their absolute A game, and they've been able to they've been able to push in just by a hair some really good positions. We're on board with Joost Noordijk, and we can see just how hard he's pushing it on those curves. Look how close he's getting to the grass through the sector.
Yeah, brilliant job so far. You can see now it's come to those final laps. It is push as much as you can to get yourself the best lap time on the board now. Heading down in towards turns 9 and 10. He's down by 17 thousandths in that second sector, but he is, however, up on his previous sector 2 times. He heads down now in towards turn 11. He's got to get something done in this final sector to get himself any higher than P15. It would be it wouldn't be much worse for him to be down in P15. He wants to find himself comfortably in that top 10 as he comes into the final few corners, and luckily got to hopefully not get held up by a few cars ahead. You can see now the whole grid. You got one car finishing lap as the last car is starting a lap, and Joost, I think, will be looking for an improvement here. He'll get a bit of a slipstream from the Ferrari and goes up into P8 there. Brilliant that time from the Haas.
Yep, it's really looking good there, and it is looking like a heck of a time. Unfortunately, Klaffenbach did invalidate, so he's not going to get any better than P5 in this session. Godendorp, affectionately called in chat, I saw a message for Gotendorp, and I thought that was pretty good. Goes into P3, so he's certainly made a good statement. He's been the next one to get into the Magic 115s, and then you've got a few more drivers who are going to be coming across the lines now. Nico Benz only goes second fastest. You've got an Alpine behind. That's Lenny Pepinta, 0.808. This could be an Alpine 1-2. Can Reese Linton make an improvement as well? It's not going to be, but wow, Alpine, what a start.
Looking very strong out there. As you can see, a few more cars coming through. I'm on board with Leo Lund, who's heading down into turn 11. Liam Steams also invalidated on his lap time. He's in P10, gets demoted to P10 because of Daniel Kaya popping himself up into 9th position, as that was also Max Grosspoint into P7 for the Sabre team. Looking very strong so far. But let's have a little look at Mirko Soriano. Can he try and take himself pole? Because he's up by half a tenth in that middle sector here, Sappy.
Yeah, well, we're just going to see, before we do that, we're going to see Leo Lund cross the line. Is he going to make a massive improvement? It is going to be an improvement. It's up into P9 for him there. As you see, I believe that was one of the Aston Martins come behind. Mirko Soriano is only going to get 4th fastest. Statura doesn't get an improvement either. That is 6th. And that is your qualifying stack, ladies and gentlemen, because Godendorp and Noordijk have both completed their laps, and Pepinta, with a little bit of what I call celebratory weight reduction, as Alpine have a 1-2 start. As far as constructors' standings go, We haven't even seen a race yet, but what an initial statement to make. The Pinter and Linton, I'm sure, very happy with themselves.
Indeed, and just looking through the grid, you can see the whole the top 17 separated by just over 0.3 of a second. But for me, the two biggest surprises are to see Joris and Lillian then in P15 and P16. They were two drivers at the start. I literally said on Twitter earlier, I reckon they could have a go for the championship, but a very poor qualifying from them to open it up. But it will be two of the other race coaches at the top of the grid. It'll be Lenny Papinta on pole here with a 1 minute 15.808 ahead of Reese Linton in second, to Nico Benz in the top three ahead of Mirko Soriano, Kian Gondor, Camel Sasha in P6. We've got Max Grospointer, Julian Klappenbach, Jan Halliday and Leo Lund rounding out the top 10, followed by Kai Pearson, Daniel Koya, Tycho Hardy, Liam Stevens, Joost Noordijk, Jonas Krozen, Lillian Dabecourt, Simon Lekomsky, Bradley Holderman, Sergio Sabrino rounding out the whole of the grid. 5/10 separating the top 20, 3/10 separating the top 18. This race, Sappy, is going to be down to strategy, surely, because they're so close together, these drivers are.
It's going to be a real good one, and we'll talk about that a bit more after a word from our good friends and our good sponsors over at GT Omega. Folks, and thank you for being with us so far. We did have a bit of a quick start, a little bit of an abrupt start, so apologies for technical issues, but what a qualifying to make up for it. Such a tight session, such a good run, and I don't know, Nathan, what are your thoughts here?
Going into this race, it's one of those, with the grid being that close, you can't really call who you think's going to win. I think there's so many drivers that have got, different advantages and disadvantages to each other, that we could see someone maybe then in P10 get the right strategy, maybe go for something a little bit different and come out on top by a margin. We've seen it happen multiple times before. We've seen it happen last season as well. And going into a season where there's no points on the board, no one's done any races yet this season, it's kind of a bit of unknown who will go where, because yes, we saw some of these races last season, but it's a different grid. They've head against different drivers. Some of them are in different cars. We know that the cars are meant to be equal, but there is a little bit of difference, whether that's a bit of a placebo or if there actually is any differences in the cars. That will also have an effect on many drivers, whether it's good or bad. So going into this, it's quite hard to call who will win, but I think it's got to be between the top five, surely. Unless someone can come out the bag from a little further down, I don't think anyone past the top five can get it here tonight.
Yeah, well, they certainly showed who we should be watching out for. And we've got a pretty exciting calendar ahead of us because, of course, tonight is Australia, and then we're introducing driver vote GPs. So we've seen some success with the likes of voting Grand Prix, mystery Grand Prix, and we're going to continue that trend through. So we have rounds 2, 4, 6, 7, and 10 down to driver votes. How do you think that's going to go, Nathan?
Brilliant. Of course, I think obviously we've got the driver votes on the calendar somewhere, which I should have with me, but I haven't. But all I know is that this season is, some of the drivers like it, some of them don't, which I think is a common theme, because obviously PSGL like to get through all the tracks on one game, and obviously that means having lots of tracks that people don't like, such as Monaco, Australia, Azerbaijan, Canada, all in that final season together. Yeah, it does create it to be a little bit chunky, and a lot of drivers, well, some like it, but the ones that are kind of a bit more focused on the nice tracks, like Belgium, Silverstone, they don't kind of get that look. So
I thought you were just going to repeat Belgium there again. So Belgium, Belgium, Belgium. Well, what ones are you hoping to see on those driver votes?
I think Imola is one of them. I think it'd be nice to see Imola. We haven't seen that track at all this game.
Oh, that's true. Imola. That would be a good one. I'm certainly got my hopes for that one. Yeah, Imola. I'm a big fan of Portimao, personally. I really love that one.
Exactly.
What?
I hate to tell you, but the track's already chosen 2 weeks ago by the drivers.
Oh. Well, there you go then. Well,
You've not been paying attention, have you?
Well, no. I've been stuck in with me work.
Well, do you want to tell you what tracks we got replacing the driver vote tracks on the screen? So we've got Belgium.
Leave it a surprise. Leave it a surprise.
Okay, well, you got Belgium. That's a good thing, isn't it?
You got Belgium. I'll take it. You got Belgium. But of course, tonight as we wait for the track to get restarted and the lobby to get back underway. We've seen it in action, but let's take a proper, more in-depth analysis of the track that we're facing today. It is Melbourne, it is Albert Park, it is 14 corners of racing roller coaster, and despite being in a park, and what you would think would catch flack for having relatively little vertical movement, very little undulation, it's a favourite. Seems to be a bit of a favourite.
It is. I think it's a nice track. I just think it's very technical. I don't like driving it personally. In any car, I don't like driving it. It's quite hard to get the hang of. But then again, I'm a commentator. I'm not really gifted with the driving skill. Hence why I sit here on Thursday nights talking to the chat about the drivers on the circuit. But I think it is, it's quite a nice track to look at. And also, it's in the middle of a park. It's a very nice place to put a track. For people who hate motorsport, they will hate this, because they want their scenic park. They want all the green grass. They don't want cars flying through at 200 miles an hour and barriers in the way in grandstands. But I think if you like motorsport, you've got to like this track. I think if you don't, it's a little bit sad in my opinion, because I think it's a brilliant circuit.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I think it is a test of bravery in some areas, like knowing how fast you can take some of these corners, how far you can push yourself. And it is a real tell for just how much faith you have in your car, your setup. Like turns 9 and 10, if that's not a leap of faith on this calendar, I don't know what is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think. Then again, though, we have got some odd tracks this calendar, which I think, in terms of league racing, are quite interesting. Obviously, two of them being Monaco and Azerbaijan, which I think once we get to those rounds, I think we'll be having helmets on ourselves, because we need to brace ourselves for a lot of impacts, because there'll be a lot of crashes, a lot of taps on the wall, and I think a lot of incidents that the drivers won't be ready for, because we know the F1 game likes to bring its differences. So I won't be surprised if we see a car upside down somehow.
Well, that would certainly be an achievement. I'll give it that. That would certainly be an achievement and a test of the halo. But not that they need to worry too much about it, because luckily they have the virtual barrier in between themselves. Unless you're playing on a full force feedback sim, in which case all I can say is good luck. That's all I can really say to you there. If you're playing full force feedback, including seat moving, and you go upside down, we'll see how accurate that simulation is. But
well, I was going to say, I've created myself many enemies, because I'm friends, luckily, with quite a lot of quick people in the game, and they all use these Fanatec's and Mosers, all these expensive, high Newton-meter wheels, and if I crash into them for fun in a race, I'll get a very loud anger at me, because they, when you hit someone when they've got 20 millimeters of force, it's, it does actually like throw your hand off a bit, and it can hurt you. So yeah, I've found out that
if you get it caught between your wheel and your base, that can snap your finger just like that.
Oh, definitely.
So it's definitely a safety thing. That's why drivers get so heated over crashes. Part of it is, of course, you compromised your race or whatever. But it is also an aspect of you can get physically injured. You crank up the force feedback on some of these things to 100%. They could be workouts. They can actually be like proper workouts. I know someone who has used this as a workout, like doing races with his friends. He deliberately cranks it to 100 instead of going to the gym. Which, you know what, credit for creativity.
Fair. So exactly, you can give him 100 points for creativity there, but hopefully we can get our way in shortly. We've got all the drivers in the lobby, including the two commentators. So I think it's a matter of time now while we wait for Kian to set up the grid. So yet again, thank you to Kian for hosting the lobby for us, getting everything set up indeed, and taking all blame if the lobby goes wrong. But we have got everyone ready and up now, which means in about 20 seconds time we'll see the track load up and we'll have 29 laps of the Australian Grand Prix.
Yep, and just before we go, of course you saw the brief ads for it, and when it worked, a little bit of the upgrades that we've had to the streams for this year. But we do have to give a shout out to two of our major sponsors. So first off, GT Omega. Give them some love. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount, as well as Sim Racing Centre, relatively new, joined near the end of season 35, and if you use code PSGL at checkout, you can get a 10% discount for any of their services. So go check out our partners, go show them some love as a bit of a thanks from us for making these kind of leagues possible. And you may have seen as well, we've got the sponsor boards around the circuit too.
They look brilliant. Obviously, I haven't got them on myself as I'm not streaming, but they are very, very nice. And I think it's nice to see the blue, the white, the yellow all come together and replace the DHL and all the little random sponsors I have on the circuit and some proper league racing sponsors. But we can see now the track is on our screen. We can see the pit lane, which means we're not too far away now. Sappy from the race getting underway.
Yep, we are not far now. It's going to be a good one tonight. I'm personally looking forward to it in a big way. Yeah, oh, there you go. I've just noticed at the top edge, Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. Very fancy, very nice. I'm noticing more and more of it as we go around, and I just think kudos to the team for putting that together. But drivers are just getting their setups now. They're getting themselves shipshape and ready to race for real. We had the restart due to the penalties for illegal blocking, and of course wanting to remove those because the game doesn't give us the option to turn those off by default, unfortunately. Meaning we do have sometimes a little bit of a restart procedure. Luckily, things are doing well. Things are back up on schedule, and we are just moments away from the track getting hot and the racing about to start.
But Sappy, who's your picker winner today for the race?
Well, the Alpines, both of them, Pepinta and Linton, amazing quality. But I'm very curious to see how Statura does. But there's no time to discuss that too much now because we have 5 red lights. Ladies and gentlemen, the track is hot here in Australia, and I mean that in both senses as we're about to go racing, and let's see what they can do. So, Pepinta, good start, along with Linton. Godendorp going for a bit of a move on the inside immediately and getting the straight, and that is Statura off! Statura is immediately off. I really had to say something, didn't I? Because now we've got a full course safety car, 2-3 wide, and everyone is slowing down to a crawl.
Well, I was on board with him luckily at the right time, and it all folded in from the incident between Keane and Mirko. So I think it was Mirko sent to move up the inside of Keane into turn 1. Keane went wide, Mirko had a bit of a snap, and then behind, I think Cameron must have hit one of them. He just spun around into the wall. There was nothing he could do to save the car, and there we are, virtual safety car out on the circuit, and poor Camel started in the top 5, was looking strong, and then we have unfortunately a DNF, the first one of season 36, and yeah, big shame. And also further back we can see Yaris has dropped down to P19, so he also had a bit of a poor start at the start of this race. So many people making position changes, but also happy to note many different tyres, softs, mediums and hards, all over the grid here. Normally you see maybe, the majority of the hards and a few on the softs and mediums, but here, I wouldn't say any tyre is more popular than the other.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be massive change-ups beyond, I usually see a lot of medium to hard. I think the soft runners are going to try and stretch out their stints to try and match a soft to hard stint in the same way that medium runners do. We'll see how they do on the tyre strategy. I'm curious because a lot of the front runners have gone softs. They can try and get a gap, but simultaneously, if they don't get that gap, then they would have burnt a much better tyre compound on relatively little effect. But we're back up to full racing conditions, folks. Track is now green flag conditions once again. We didn't have the full safety car in the end. We just had a virtual. Grosspointer in the Sauber, though, has been the next DNF. I think they picked up damage, and they've decided to concede early.
Yeah, he retired in the pits there, did Max Grosspointer. Big shame for him, and he starts here in the PCF2 campaign. We can see further back, though, Liam Stevens dropping down the grid. He's looking to try and fight with Lilian Debecourt for P13 and P14. Near the top, we can see as well Julian Klaffenbach trying to make moves along with Jan Halliday. Jan had a really good start, didn't he? Started in P8. They're looking to make him in for P5 ahead of Mirko Soriano. They're going 3 wide in towards turns 9 and turn 10. It'll be Jan ahead of Julian, ahead of Mirko as they head in towards this chicane. Who will be ahead though? Will Julian said it? Yes, he will. Round the outside goes Klaffenbach, and he gets moved on. Brilliant move there from the Haas as they head back down in towards turn 11. Can Jan try and send it up the inside in towards the brake zone? No, he sits back for now. But what a move from the Haas then. It was definitely ballsy, but it's paid off.
Yeah, he really made it work there. He played a full-on game of chicken, and it worked out entirely in his favour. A little bit of movement a bit further back as well. Kai Pearson looking to get very close. Klaffenbach looking like he's having a little bit of network instability. You can see his car hopping around just a bit there. Godendorp, though, in a sea of soft tyre runners, he's doing pretty well on those sets of mediums, huh?
He is definitely, as you can see, Keane Kai Pearson, sorry, ahead of Mirko Soriano now. As they head down towards turn 3, and you can see lots of Mirko and Leo. They will drop back. Obviously, being on those hard tyres, as we can see as well. Tycho Hardy looking for a bit of a lunge on the back of the Ferrari in towards turn 3. Lilian Debacourt now into P11 started down in P16. Very good start from him now to kind of get, try and get rid of that damage you had, obviously, from that qualifying session, being down near the back of the grid, doing a very splendid job indeed. We can see Klaffenbach now looking to close in and make a move on Kian Gondorp in towards turn 9. The chicane is going to close in. Has that battery to use, and DRS, of course, but he's only got 20% of battery. He's burnt it all in these past couple of laps, which isn't what he wants to do at all. And you can see that, obviously, Nico being used as a bit of a, a moving blockade, so Julian couldn't really send the move straight up the inside, otherwise he would have tapped to the back of the Aston Martin as they head back down towards turn 11 here. Jan Harde also losing that 1 second gap. That's crucial for his race here.
Yeah, and we're going to see a couple of trains start to form there. Remember, we have got not just 1, not just 2, not 3, but 4 DRS zones on this track. So it does, in some areas, turn into a little bit of a drag race. And if you don't have that second gap, if you're not within that 1 second proximity, you are in a lot of trouble. Luckily, it looks like he's recouped the gap just fine.
Indeed, as obviously we can see the two race coaches at the front and the Alpines are going to be working together in this race to just pull each other along and not really lose any positions. Obviously, Nico Benz in P3, he's not really looking to push either on the back of Reese or Lenny just yet, but I'm sure he will do once we come towards the end of that soft tyre stint. We can see further back, Ian Godendorp, even though he's on the medium tyres, which is the unoptimal tyre here at the moment compared to those around him, he's still doing a really good job. So we could see him, obviously, try a bit of a different strategy, and it could come out on top for him here in this race. As we can see Julian Klaffenbach yet again going for another move on Keane. Can he get it done this time in towards turn on? He's gaining in with a bit of that battery usage, but hasn't got enough to make it work. As we can see Reese Linton take the lead ahead of Lenny Papinto now as they head in towards turn on at the end of this second DRS zone. We can see further back as well Mirko Soriano looking to get closer to Tycho Hardy, who obviously got past Mirko, but now looking not really to try and push further on. You can see Mirko just on his tail as they head in towards the next breaker zone, with obviously Leo trying to make a move on the Ferrari, close to contact as they head into turn 10, and now Lillian looking to make a move to get himself into the top 10 as well.
Yeah, but you see these 3 cars in a very tight pack with one another. Tycho Hardy, Mirko Soriano and Leo Lund, they're all looking for the same spot, all looking for the same position. Soriano is tight on the defensive, and you've got that Red Bull of Leo Lund coming up very close behind. He's not quite done yet because you've got Debacourt just a bit further back. He's waiting for those 2 to fight once again so he can recoup that gap. And with the soft tyres, he's going to have to work that little bit harder, just because he wants to make the most of that advantage before it depletes and the hard runners begin to get away.
Indeed, though, but we can see further back, we can see Lukomsky looking to make a move ahead of Daniel Kai for P12 in this race, and the soft tyres at the back looking to make moves, but they're kind of stuck where they are now. They're not really getting many positions more further afield because of that DRS obviously being a factor now. As you can see, Lukomsky going into the back of Daniel Kai, obviously his teammate Tycho Hardy in the top 8, also doing a very nice job here for the McLaren team at the start of this season. Obviously, yet again, Tycho last season in season 35, he started off brilliantly, got himself a couple of top 5s, but then kind of left off as the season got on, and unfortunately didn't really get many points towards the end of the season. So he'll be looking to try and recuperate that here in season 36. Further ahead, we can see Nico Benz gaining into the back of Lenny Papinto. Obviously, then he's got his teammate Reese Linton ahead. So if they need to defend to the Aston Martin, they will do all in their power that they can do. As we can see Lillian now into P11 ahead of Daniel. And the issue that Lillian's got, though, is he's having to defend now when he should really be attacking.
Yeah, and that is really the crux of it. You've got so many drivers in these positions where you can get a lot more of an advance, but if that advance doesn't go well, you can concede your position as well as others. So it's that trade-off, it's that balancing act that these drivers have to face. Not necessarily being unable to do the moves, because they absolutely can. They can prove that on pace if they wanted to. It's about making the move in such a way where they don't immediately compromise their race and don't put themselves in a high-risk position to where drivers behind aren't going to attack themselves.
Indeed, as we can see, though, Kai Pearson, he was looking for a move on Jan Harde towards turn 3. Jan looking to struggle here, which isn't ideal. It's either that or Kai Pearson's just on a roll and he's looking to push through the field as much as he can. They head down towards turn 9 once again, obviously into this high-speed chicane section. Further back, we can see Tycho Hardy, obviously also now looking comfortable as Lenny Pinter takes the lead back from Reese Linton now. Obviously, the 2 Alpines still swapping and changing for position at the front of the order. Tycho Hardy now, he's looking stronger, looking to make a move here on Kai Pearson. So maybe now, Slappy, we're starting to see these soft tyres kind of still be strong, but lose their optimum advantage over these medium and hard runners now.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see the crossover point very soon. It looks like we are on the brink of having drivers start to lose the pace in the soft, start to lose the confidence in the soft a little bit. I think that we are going to see about maybe lap 9, 10, drivers start to make that consideration of whether it's time to pit. Because everyone on the soft is in a high track position, they will be hesitant to, or try to draw it out just that little bit longer.
Indeed, they will, as they all fly through now. This first sector once again on lap 7, number 29, and similar Komsky, the first to get a penalty, a 3-second penalty on lap 7. He's still got another, what? Is that 18 laps left to go? That is not what he would have wanted at all, as we can see as well. Joost Noordijk making a move on the Williams. The two locking wheels as they head in towards turn 4. That allows Holden to try and get in on the back of the soft tyre runner in the Williams. Lekomsky not having the start he would have liked. He's now under pressure here from P15. So now has he got damage, or is he just got himself, he's got that penalty in there. You kind of get yourself into that headspace of, I'm not going to do well, I'm not going to improve, and you end up just losing position after position. As you can see, Bradley already got ahead before they enter this chicane.
Yeah, I think that Lekomsky could very easily get into the bad mindset of thinking it's curtains for him in this race. He's getting very close in proximity to some of these cars, and he did have some pretty heavy contact with Holden, or Noordijk, I should say, as they made the move around him. So maybe he is just thinking that it is curtains, and he needs to pull himself out of that mindset if that is the case. Because if you have that losing mindset, that's all that's going to happen. Things are going to go from bad to worse. So keep your head up, keep moving forward, or make the judgment call.
It did, and I think Reece Linton made a mistake somewhere on the last lap, because we saw it was Nico Benz about 50 tenths back from him in towards turn 11, and now he had for 1 second a 5-tenth gap to his teammates in first. So Reece might have made a bit of a mistake, but maybe a bit of a poor judgment of braking into one of the corners, which obviously allowed Nico to go for a bit of an attack on the back of the Alpine. We can see as well further back, Jan Halliday was looking to make an overtake on Julian Klaffenbach into turn 1, but just couldn't get himself alongside the Haas to get the move done. Further back, we can see Leo Lund there looking to close in on Marcus Soriano. Leo as well, obviously raced very well back in F3 last season. I think finished second in that championship, so he's also a driver we expect to be looking to, fight for some very good points, and hopefully in some rounds fight for podiums here in PCF2 as they all fly down towards turn 9, and Tycho Hardy making a move ahead of Kai Pearson as Reece Linton takes lead once again. Surely now these softs have started to die, because Kian and Tycho are looking immense now on this pace.
Yep, and this is where we're going to see drivers really try and give it their everything, give it that final push before making the call to go into the pits. So looking around, you can see drivers getting very close with one another, looking for any opportunities that they can get to make their way around their opponents. Now, look at the top stack. It's very, very close between all of them. I think we saw a brief lunge from Soriano there that didn't quite materialise into a move for him. But look around. Look at everyone so close to one another. All of them trying to break out the slipstream, trying to look for moves or cool down their engine, because everyone's just in the toe of one another.
They are, and no one's really finding moves at all on the track, which I think can be good, because it means you ain't got to worry about pushing too hard. As we see a move being made, that's Julian to the inside of Keane. Godendorp, Keane goes off the circuit. So does Julian. Jan Hardy around the outside of Keane, gets the move done there for P5. Can he get the move done for P4? They've lost to 1 second to the top 3. That is crucial now. They need to get back within it, or that could be any chance of their top 3 literally over. I know we're only on lap 9, but losing the DRS now is really, really crucial for your race. We can see Jan pushing hard. He's burning his battery. He wants that 1 second to his teammates in P3. As we can see Jan get back within the second now of well, he was 1.4 seconds back, but we did see him get past his teammates. Get past Julian. As we can see Tycho Hardy getting past Keane Godendorp in towards turn 9, and to the now Kai Pearson looking to make a move.
Yeah, and everything's kicking off in this sort of upper mid-pack battle, because you've got Jan Halliday trying to take command of P4, stay within a second of his teammate. Might even see Nico Benz yield a little bit to give him that crucial DRS window. You've got Tycho Hardy and Keane Godendorp. You've got Soriano and Pearson duking it out as well, with Lund not farther behind. It's all happening right now, and this little mid-pack is where you want to be.
It is indeed, but obviously that mistake there from Julian Klaffenbach and Keane has really helped Jan Halliday. He's now in the top 4. He's comfortably behind the back of the top 3. Could still be a podium on the cards for Jan Halliday, even though we started down, I believe, in P10 in this race. So still looking on the good horizons here for the Aston Martin team. Further back, we can see Leo Lund there looking to make a move on the back of Kai Pearson into turn 4. They go side by side. Kai just about lunges it into the exit and gets himself back ahead of the Rebel. You can see Leo went for the move, but he wasn't too keen on fighting to the limits for it. He just went for a move. Nobody couldn't make it, so he backed off on the exit as they head now down towards the end of this first sector. Further back, we can see Lilian Derbacourt. Obviously, on those soft tyres, he's not really making moves, but he's still comfortably sitting in that P11 position. Lenny Pinto swapping for the lead once again ahead of his teammate. We can see Mirko Soriano looking to make a move ahead of Kean here for P7 in this race. He goes to the inside of the Williams. They go side by side into turn 9. Kean just about edges ahead into the braking zone and keeps himself into P7. But surely Kean must have some damage there because he lost that one position and then just fell through the grid at one point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's damage. I'm not seeing any visual damage on his car, but there could be some floor damage, which could be a death nail to his race efforts. I'm keeping an eye on Leo Lund in particular, because we've seen him rise up in the tiers, and since commentating, I believe it was on F4 a couple of seasons back, he really has sort of shown his pace and shown his ability to refine his skills. He had pace back then, but it was kind of a blunt instrument kind. It wasn't tempered by racecraft, tempered by patience, and now we're seeing that come in full force. You've got the balance of the aggressiveness with the racecraft, and that's what we've seen. Albeit in P10 right now, I do just want to highlight he has progressed up the tiers and he's done very well.
He has indeed, and obviously he's now on the the hard tyres, so it isn't the best tyre to be on at the start of the race. But going to the end, obviously being on the mediums or maybe a soft, depending on what strategy he does, he could be looking to get himself some very decent points and could even be looking for a top 5 finish here if he can play his card right. Obviously, in the Red Bull, his teammate Liam Stevens not having the most fortunate race so far. He's down in 15th position so far, just ahead of Shimon Lekomsky in the top 16. Obviously, got a penalty. I think this is definitely a race to forget for Shimon indeed, along with also Max and Kamil, who unfortunately haven't made the end of this race. They didn't even make, well, Kamil didn't even make the end of lap 1, didn't even make the end of lap turn 1. As we can see now, heading down towards turn number 11. Nico's gaining in on the back of Lenny quite closely. Lenny obviously hasn't got DRS, but no. Nico sits back. He doesn't really lunge for a move at all. On the back of Pinta, he's just comfortably just to sit behind and pull himself along. And obviously in terms of batteries, Sergio Sabrino also gets a penalty. He's dropped down to P18. He's made a mistake because we've seen him sappy go off the circuit at turn 11.
Yeah, I think if you want to talk about constructors having a rough first race, we need to talk about Mercedes. Yes, we have the Sauber and we have the Ferrari, who did have a retirement, but we do have, as well as that, oh, something has happened. Is that pitting? Is that pitting?
Yeah.
That is pitting for Lekomsky. We're going to see the first of the runners here jumping into the pit lane. You got Daniel Koya, Simon Lekomsky, and Sergio Sabrino, all jumping into pits for hard, medium, and medium respectively. I wonder, in Koya's case, definitely so, but do you see the mediums being taken to the end of the race from this point?
Well, I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? I think they can be taken to the end, but it's going to be a matter of how close you are to a puncture, I think, by that point. So Daniel, I think, has gone for the safer option, obviously taking those hards. Obviously, he's starting on medium, so he can't go to them anyway. So, yeah, it's a bit of a curious strategy for him to pit so early. I would have thought he would have left it a few more laps before heading on to a set of hard tyres, but then again, he's now going for that undercut to try and get himself ahead of all those now, once they also make that pit stop and just become a bit of a hindrance to those behind to defend for those top positions, as we can see them all fly down in towards turn 11 once again. And now, Jan Hurdo, Julian Klaffenbach starting to gain in even more to the back of Nico Benz, and obviously Tycho Hardy as well, and Key, and they're obviously on the medium tyres. They've got themselves settled back in now in P6 and 7. The question is, when do they decide to jump into the pits? Because obviously Daniel's gone very early. We've got more people into the pits. They're all flying in. We've got some of the soft runners in, obviously that being Julian, Kian, Lenny, Nico into the pit lane now for their new tyres, and we'll see what tyres they choose to go on here, Sappy.
Yeah, we'll see about now what pit strategy they're going to run with. We've got Benz on the medium, Klaffenbach on the medium, Papinter on the medium, Godendorp on the hard. And yep, now it is that transition point. So Linton has done really well so far to keep the balance with his teammate. You can see they've been leapfrogging each other to work together, make sure that they have control of the race. Jan Hurdy could seize a big opportunity here though, because now Linton hasn't got his teammate to leapfrog and rely on, and we've still got 2 DRS zones before the start-finish straight, and before inevitably Linton pits next lap.
Indeed, yeah, we'll see what obviously those two do at the top, obviously between Jan and Reese. Obviously, Jan's part of TS, but he's also part of the Aston Martin team as a development driver, as Leo Lund makes his way past Kai Pearson for P5, and obviously as well Reese Linton part of the race coach team. So we'll see what he manages to do here in terms of strategy. Obviously, Lenny Pipinta comes out net leader in this race ahead of Nico Benz, who's going to be looking to make a move ahead of the Alpine. He gets a move done in towards turn 9. Very key, I would say that could be a key move for the race here for Nico Benz to get ahead and try and split the two of the race coaches once Reese Linton gets back in towards the pit lane to get himself probably a set of medium tyres onto the back of that car. Obviously, Keane also onto a set of hards. All those on the going onto the mediums now. doing a decent job. We'll see what they can bring as Reece Linton, Jan Halliday, Tycho Hardy, Lillian Debacore into the pits now. 4 new set of tyres, and that promotes Joris into P7. Joris Krozen as well. Bit of a poor showing from him. He's a driver I expect to see in the top 5. He's a driver I expect to see fighting for podiums and wins, but today he hasn't really been there at all, which is a big shame because, I think he's one of those, if you look at the betting sheets, he's one you'd be going, right, his bet's going to be 2-1 to win.
Yeah, and we're looking now as we see the leaders of the previous lap rejoin, having taken their stops. Big takeaway. Nico Benz, currently net leader. Linton all the way down in net P4. So that is a big shake-up. That undercut bias, just a single lap, proved to be very powerful for our top runners.
Indeed, and one key thing these now, obviously Jan Halliday is broken. That was a gap to Tycho Hardy. That could also be a key feature of this race and could obviously try and, give that top 5 a chance of keeping to that top 5 before the end of this race, as we can see them all flying down now in towards turn number 9 and number 10. Obviously, we can see Lenny Papinta looking to, yet again, going into the back of Nico Benz. They've got a 10-second gap to Joris in P7, so obviously all those now that will pit soon will be a little bit further behind, but we know they take that overcut. They know they compromised that, second stint at the start of being a little bit further behind. Obviously, Mirko Soriano leads ahead of Leolund and Kai, who's now entered the pits off of those soft tyres, taking it quite long than the others on the soft tyres, so we'll see whereabouts he can come out once he's made his pit stop. But we can see as well Julian Klaffenbach looking to make a move here on Lenny Papinta.
He came very close to the back of the Alpine there, really hungry to get that position on him before the stabilisation of the race strategy starts to happen. Those top 3 are all now on even keel. They have the same tyres, they have the same age on said tyres, and I believe they're on about the same ERS, so let's see what the strategy makes of it. Of course, Nico Benz is in a pretty difficult position now because he's going to have to juggle the drivers behind him having plenty of DRS zones to play with. So is he going to expend resource, or is he going to let them go by in order to recoup for later?
Well, I think in terms of strategy, it's hard to make a decision now, isn't it? Obviously, we've got many laps left to go. As we can see, Leo Lund take the lead ahead of Mirko Soriano now on lap 15 and 29, but obviously they have gone longer on those hard sets of times. We can see Jan Halliday ahead of Reece Linton, and that could be a key move here for Jan Halliday now to try and get himself back into that top 4 train. But Reece Linton obviously been along with Jan, obviously been on those 1-lap tyres a little bit better than those 7th, 8th and 9th, so they could also be looking to try and make a late race charge and try and get themselves towards a point for victories. We can see Lenny Papinta looking to gain in on the back of Nico Benz. Julian Klaffenbach sitting right behind the back of the Alpine Race Clutch driver as they head down towards the penultimate corner. We can see Liam Stevens into the pits off of those hard tyres. He will be onto a set of mediums, of course, to take those to the end of this race. But as we can see as well further back, Daniel Kai arguing with Lillian Debacore, who's still a little bit further back in this race, but obviously he's also on better tyres than many other drivers, so we'll see what he can do in this stage. But obviously those now, obviously top 5, they're going to come out so far back from the leaders.
I can't help but wonder, in the case of Liam Stevens, if it's quite early to be coming off the hards.
Yeah, I think it probably is quite early to come off the hards, but we've seen, I think, already a couple of drivers come off the hards now. But yeah, I think you would have thought if he's come off the hards on lap 15, why wouldn't he go on the softs and come in a couple of laps earlier?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think, yeah, I tend to look at it as you want to get off the hards as soon as possible, because the hards are the ones that munch the miles in order to get to the compound that you really want. So maybe he's taken that strategy. He said to himself, you know what, I can take mediums to the end of the race from this point, if just about. We can see a bit of a trade between Papinta and Benz, so Lenny Papinta has got it through that DRS heading through turns 9 and 10 into turn 11. Are we going to see recourse from Nico Benz? We do see Klaffenbach tucking himself round, but Jan Halliday could be going for a move himself, but he's too busy trying to judge and juggle between Klaffenbach up ahead and Linton behind, as Soriano is going to head into the pits. I think also mimicking a similar strategy to mediums in getting himself onto that ideal compound ASAP.
Indeed, and I think for a 1 second there, it was Reece Linton with a bit of a co-brain, went for a move on Jan Halliday, who also went for a move on the back of Julian, and luckily didn't come to contact, but was very close in towards that braking zone now, heading back down towards turn 3. Who makes moves here at this point? Does anyone go for a send here in towards turn 3? No, they all sit back for them and follow each other in the line. Jan goes deeply and he tapped the back of the Haas. That allows Reece to try and gain in. Couldn't find a move, but he did gain in quite quickly on the back of the Aston Martin there. As we can see further back, we can see Lillian Debacore ahead of Simon Lekomsky. Into P11 goes Lillian. Brilliant move there in the AlphaTauri to try and gain on the back of Kian Godendorp, obviously in the other Williams, obviously on those hard tyres. He's going to be under a little bit more compromisation now, but maybe at the end of the race, he will try and fight back a bit more and get himself a little bit high on the grid.
You say that, but Lekomski's got a bit of a fight of his own because he has got Kai Pearson breathing down his neck. Pearson's going to be going down the inside. In turns 9 and 10 now, they are going to be going parallel, and it is going to be Lekomski. He has to take a 3-second penalty for extending the track limits, but I don't think he had anywhere to go.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a grey area, isn't it, making an overtake in towards turns 9 and 10. I think it's very easy to go wide and lose yourself track position, but surely at that point, Lekomski would have thought, right, it's quicker than me, back off and let him through. That's what I would have done at least, but then again, I'm not a racing driver. As we do see, the top four into the pits being Joost, Bradley, Joris and Leo Lundell. We'll go into different times. We've got mediums for most of them, but softs for Bradley Holden. A bit of a different strategy here to the others, but then again, we do know the softs can go at least 13, 14 laps, so this could be a very good strategy here for Bradley Holden. Could be one to try and get him some good points in this race. Obviously, last season did take a singular podium, but not many more points after that.
Well, we see a little bit of a battle going on between Derbycourt and Godendorp as they tap tyres coming through this next couple of corners. They're going to be in very close proximity to one another. Derbycourt does have a tyre advantage here in this stage of the race, so he can see to himself that he pushes and gets Godendorp into a little bit of a difficult spot. At the lead of this queue, Tycho Hardy, 1.9 seconds behind Reese Linton, so he's not going to have any recourse. He could potentially see himself in trouble as the drag race between Derbycourt and Godendorp is going to see Tycho Hardy box the AlphaTauri in, and that is going to be Kai Pearson getting around Tycho Hardy. Little bit of coming to blows, as you can see that McLaren is on the recharge. He's run out of resource, he's run out of steam, and both AlphaTauris as well as the Williams have got round him seemingly quite effortlessly.
Indeed, and obviously Tycho Hardy on those hards. I don't think that might have been the best strategy to go for here for the McLaren driver, so that could definitely harm him in this race. So we can see, obviously, Keane Godendorp got a 1.9 second gap to that top five ahead of Kai and Lillian, so we'll probably see those guys pass the Williams soon and then try and make a move to get back into that 1 second gap of the leaders, Kai Pearson. Into P6 as they head in towards turn 1. We can see Lillian Derbycourt got a decent exit on the back of the Williams. Going to he try and make a send down towards turn 3. He's gaining in a little bit, but not enough, I don't think, yet to try and send a move here on Keane. No, he's a little bit too far back as they head into turn 3, but you can see he's pushing the Williams through now towards turns 4 and 5. I don't think it's long before we see him make the move.
Yeah, I think he's going to be biding his time just a little bit longer before he goes for something like that. They just had a pretty dicey turns 9 and 10 on the previous lap, so biding your time would be wise here. Meanwhile, back at the top, we can see Lenny Pepinter sticking behind Nico Benz and is going to be shaping up for a move, but Klaffenbach is getting very close. Klaffenbach's going down the inside. He's going to make it one. It's going to be big contact, however, and it's going to be a 360 going for the Haas as a yellow comes out in sector 3. He has to take to the escape route as Klaffenbach goes from P3, following an aggressive move. He goes down now into P11, potentially even further.
Well, the fact they sent it 3 wide into turn 9 is what confuses me. Why are they sending it 3 wide there? We know 2 wide is a bit of a stretch, but 3 wide is absolutely not going to happen there. So obviously goes down for Julian Klaffenbach into P11. Obviously, I think it was Jan went for a move, and then he also decided to send it there onto the back of, I believe it was Lenny Pinter possibly into that corner. Definitely a big mistake made, and definitely not what Klaffenbach would have wanted as he drops down now to P12. As we can see, obviously, now it's going to be an Aston Martin 1-2, currently with Nico leading ahead of Jan Haldowski in 3rd and 4th. It's Reese and Lenny, and Kai Pearson in P5, Lillian in P7. The race coach team looking, look like an unstoppable force. You've got the 2 Alpines, the 2 AlphaTauris looking to gain in here on the 2 Aston Martins.
Yeah, and it is going to be a bit of an inversion of what we saw earlier. So Klaffenbach, I know, is going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder heading into these last 10 laps. He's want to gain as much as he can. He's going to do a bit of damage control, but at the same time, although not visually, I wonder to what extent of damage he has that could see him drop even further. Mirko Soriano is going to be going for a move on Daniel Koya, and they're going to be drag racing into turn 9. We don't see a repeat as we see Koya tucking in behind the Ferrari. I think he had an inkling as to what happened earlier, and he said, you know what, I am going to yield a little bit. I'm going to play it a little bit safer. I'd rather keep a stable P11 than a risky P10.
Indeed, I think Julian Klaffenbach's got damage because he's dropped down to P14. Yeah, he's moved on to let people through. I think he's got damage here in this race, just trying to defend that for his teammate. Let's obviously go through and then trying to defend Bradley Holden, who's obviously on the soft. A bit of contact into the final corner as they head back down to turn 1. Definitely a race to forget now here for Julian Klaffenbach. Down to turn 1, we can see it's going to be Lillian Derbycourt ahead of King Godendorp now, looking to try and gain onto the back of his teammate. And race could sit in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. They're now going to be trying to work together to gain in and make moves ahead of the 2 Aston Martins, who lead the way. Obviously, we can see Kai making a move on Lenny Pepinta. Lenny's going to be back up the inside. I think Lenny's also got a little bit of damage. I did see you mention in the chat there about possible damage here for Lenny Pepinta in this race, which will definitely harm his result. Obviously, starting here on pole position, looking unstoppable at the start of this race. Now looking to maybe even not finish in the top 5 here at Australia, as we can see as well. Further ahead, Reece Linton looking to gain in to try and split the two Astons, obviously being Nico and Jan Halliday. Nico's going to be letting Jan gain in, though, to kind of defend from the Alpine behind. It's going to be Jan who takes the lead. Oh, Reece went for a bit of a send, then I was not ready for that one. But he did back off in the end to now look for a send down towards turn number 11 here.
Turn 9 and 10 is a very high risk move, but if you have the momentum and you can do it, you can basically confirm a position with little to no recourse, because that third DRS zone isn't really enough coming into turn 11 to get the position back. Especially if you've got the speed through turns 9 and 10, you practically set yourself up for a free spot up until the start-finish straight. So, Reece, he obviously looks for it, but I think that the decision to hold off was the right one.
Oh, definitely. I think indeed. I think if you set free, it could have been another situation like what we had beforehand, as down towards turn 9. But we can see them all fall down in towards turn 3 for the 22nd time here in this race. It's obviously still Jan leading the way ahead of Nico and Reece Linton. And I think on this final lap, we're going to see a brilliant battle between all the guys, especially in that top 6. Obviously, all of them on different ages of tyres. Kai Pearson being the one with the best, obviously on 7-lap-old tyres, obviously then a few on 8s and also a couple on 9-lap-old medium tyres. Then further back we can see Mirko Soriano as well on 5-lap-old tyres. He could be looking to try and make some decent moves. He's looking to get ahead of Tycho Hardy now as they head in towards turns 9 and 10. He's gaining in, has the inside line. Tycho can't defend that. Nico Benz takes the lead. Reece is going to look to try and take Peter away from Jan Halliday. Gets the move done, so now the two Aston Martins split by one of the race clutches. Now Jan's going to have to push again to try and get back ahead of Reece, but no DRS here for Jan Halliday. That could put him under pressure here from Kai Pearson.
Yep, and it is going to be... This is crunch time. This is crunch time for the drivers to really get some moves done, as we see a little bit of argy-bargy coming between Derbacourt and Pepinta. They do bump tyres. Soriano up into P6 as well. He's absolutely scything his way up in this field. He's looking like an unstoppable force in that prancing horse right now. Linton tries to go to the inside. He tries to break the toe of Jan Halliday, who is, of course, chasing down hard, chasing behind. He wants to reunite with his teammate so they can continue cooperating and leapfrogging one another. But Linton is having none of it. He may have his teammate down in P7 and out for the count, but that's not going to stop him.
We go 3-1 into turn 3 further back. Bradley Holden looking to make a move ahead of 2 cars into one corner. Does get the move done ahead of one being the Williams, the second one being a Haas as they go side by side. Couldn't quite get ahead there, but that was definitely close to contact for Holden. Obviously taking those soft tyres, and they haven't really worked too much for him. He's got himself into P13, but still 3 positions away from some nice points here in this race. So still a lot of pressure to be applied for here for Bradley. He looks to make a move to get himself ahead of Yost. We can see further ahead, Kai Pearson looking to gain in on the back of Jan Halliday. Jan looking to gain in on the back of Reece Linton, and still, I think every time you watch the cars gain into turn 9, you're bracing on because you're thinking, please don't send it into there, because it won't end well. And for a couple of occasions already, it hasn't done so. As we can see Kai Pearson now on the back of Jan Halliday, looking to go left, goes right, goes to the left-hand side, takes the outside line into turn 11, gets himself all the way around the outside, bit of contact in towards there. Now puts Jan under pressure from Lillian Derbacourt.
Yep, and now Jan is in a really tight spot because Derbacourt is going to be aggressive in trying to get round Jan Halliday. Bit of contact coming as a result of his contact with Soriano, and there is a bit of a concertina effect starting to happen. As you can see, one of the Red Bulls, that's Leo Lund, just behind. Ooh, Lekomsky retiring in the pit lane. Usually when you see a 5-second penalty for speeding, that is immediately what follows after. And there you go, prophecy fulfilled. That is going to be our 3rd retirement of the session. But this mid-pack, you see Stevens drops down. Leo Lund and Tycho Hardy going straight past. Joost Noordijk up into P12. A little bit of combat happening a bit further down, as well as Godendorp has dropped to P13. Joris Krozen is also looking for a position on him. Everything is coming down to these last 5 laps.
It is indeed, and Leo and Liam looking comfortable in P9 and P10. We'll see if they can try and make any more moves ahead. I think comfortably they should get ahead of Tycho Hardy. As we can see for the head lit, Mirko Soriano looking for a move on Lillian into turn on. He goes for the send. Lillian taps the back in. Halliday in towards there. That's going to lose him some time. They go down to turn 11 now. And can Mirko find the overtake ahead of Lillian? I don't think he can. No, he can't. So Lillian still comfortable in that top 5 position. Remember, he started in P16 in this race. It's been a massive turnaround for the AlphaTauri here tonight. So far, could even be looking to make some more positions. Further back, we can see Leo Lund looking for a send up the inside at turn 13 on Tycho Hardy. Slight bit of contact, but Leo's got the better towards. He has the better long, goes to the outside of Tycho Hardy. They go side by side at the final corner, and Leo does have the move done into P8. Goes Leo Lund.
What a move there. So sticking it right into the outside, has the better tyres, exercises every single Newton-meter of grip that he has in those tyres. And there you go, very nice P8 for him there. He is going to separate himself from his teammate, but I'm sure that Liam Stephens is not going to be too far behind with the momentum that the Red Bulls are currently having.
Indeed, these two, obviously, Leo and Liam, very young brothers here in this tier. Probably 2 or 3 of the most youngest drivers, I think, are those two here tonight. So I think, they're ones that teams are keeping their eyes on. Obviously, both part of the Lotte Academy here. So we'll see, obviously, dev teams will be looking to, try and make a charge for Lisa if they can keep performing like they are, because they are doing a brilliant job here in, not just here in PSGL, but in general in many different league races. As we can see yet again, Mirko go for a send, ready from around the outside of Lillian in towards turn 9. Do they come to contact? Mirko gets the move done. Brilliant move from Soriano, but a bit of a switch back here, possibly from Lillian as they head back down to 11, but no, he can't. He has to back off in the end. Couldn't quite find the move. Brilliant there. From all this contact, that's a leap of Pinto, nearly taking out his teammate, and I think he did for a second. He hit the back of someone, and now spins around to P9 and P10, and they go 3 wide into turn 13.
There's big contact, there's big action happening in this mid-pack, and now Papinta has dropped himself down all the way to P14. He has seriously had a bad couple of corners. He makes that contact, he concertinas into him now, dropping down the field, affecting the races of others too. I think stewards are going to be taking a quick, take a bit more of a glance at that one than they might have other moments.
Indeed, I think Lenny just broke a little bit too late there in towards that corner, and it obviously just then caused a concertina effect down the grid all the way down to where he's now in P14, which is a big shame because remember, Lenny started on pole position by half a tenth to his teammate Reese Linton, so a big switcheroo here for Alpine in the standings, I think, after this race compared to where they was after the qualifying section, but still then it doesn't mean that Reese can't take a victory here for the Alpine team. Looking to gain in now on the back of Nico Benz. He's got his bit of, I suppose you can say, his teammate behind in P3 of Kai Pearson, also looking to try and be a bit of a rear gunner here to Reese to see if they can get themselves some decent positions in this race and even look for a victory, maybe even a 1-2 if you count obviously RC being the team rather than Alpine and AlphaTauri. They head down towards turn 11 once again. Now Mirko to the outside of Jan Halliday. He could also be one who's looking to fight for the victory. Goes around the outside at turn 11. Can he get the move stuck? I think he will. He's got himself just ahead of Jan into the corner. Brilliant there. Mirko Soriano here, Sappy. I think is a driver that's got a little bit under the radar this race.
Yeah, he has gone a little bit under the radar, but he's made great work. He did quali P, or he did start in P4. He did quali there, so he has brought back up to even keel. But big winners and losers tonight. The AlphaTauris, 8 positions up for Kai Pearson, 11 up for Derbacore. Massive, massive gains. And then Papinta down 13 positions. Joris Krozen is going to get a 3-second penalty, so he's going to be dropped down at least to P14 as if it stands. But wow, big wins for some drivers here tonight.
Indeed, there's a bit of a send there from Lillian on the back of Jan Halliday. Didn't quite work how he's planned, and now it's got Leo Lund on his tail as they head in towards turn 7. Red Bull looking to get past an AlphaTauri as they head up towards turn 9. You can see Leo's getting in, he's using his battery, he wants to get the move ahead of Lillian. Bit of contact nearly as they head through side by side. I think Leo gets something done. Yes, he does. Leo Lund has P6 away from Lillian Derbacore here in this race. Leo could also be someone who's looking to be fighting for podiums here because his tyres are way better than everyone now, I think on the whole grid, down to P10. So Leo, definitely don't count him out for a victory here tonight in PSGL F2. He's now looking for a move ahead of Jan Halliday, goes to the inside.
Oh, I think we lost him there briefly for a second, but we have got
Leo! Oh no, my game's completely died.
Yep, you completely went there, mate, but we're coming up to the end here. We've got Kai Pearson going alongside Reese Linton. He's going for the move. He has to get it. He's decided enough is enough waiting. He wants it, and coming through this final sector, it is all fair game to him here. Last couple of laps now, penultimate lap for the Aston Martins. It's do or die time. Nico Benz currently leads. P6, Jan Halliday, his teammate, has dropped off a bit of a ways, but he is looking to get that position back. You can see he's watching Leland. He's watching their moves, and he's going down the inside, and big contact between the two. He thought they were both ghosted. Pearson out, but it's the last couple of laps, so there's not going to be a safety car.
Oh, dear me, and there we are. Two drivers coming to contact. Leolund made such a big double, and there, that is his chance of, well, his chance of points pretty much over here now in this race. Kyle Pearson obviously then, where he stopped, but he then I think he drove forward and hit the wall. It just popped his tyre off, which is definitely a big shame for him. As we look further down, Lillian Derbicourt now down to P9. He's been overtaken by 3 cars along one straight. Surely Lillian has damage here at the moment as Liam Stevens into P4 now ahead of Tycho Hardy in this race. Liam could also be looking to try and take a podium here, which is definitely something we didn't think about at the start of this race. They head down now in towards turn 11, and we want you to let us know in the chat who you think will take victory here in this race. 1 lap left to go, and there's many drivers who can take victory here in this race.
Yeah, we see Soriano is going to be just outside of that second window for Linton and Benz because, I don't know, has he got the DRS? I wonder, we're going to see. He hasn't.
Jan heard that. What happened to Jan?
Jan is completely out of it as well. I think what happened earlier is we saw that we thought Lund was ghosted, but Pearson wasn't. So Jan went for the move. He went and followed the line of Leo Lund, and he just didn't have the opportunity because not both of them were ghosted. And that's what put him down all the way at the bottom. So bad to worse for the second Aston Martin, but up at the top end, it's going to be an epic duel because Linton and Benz are going to take this one right to the bloody end.
They will as they head now down towards turn 9. You can see Linton pressing all these buttons, trying to get all that battery used on the back of that Aston Martin. He goes to the outside as they head into turn 9. Who will come out in the lead? Will it be Nico? Will it be Reese? Into turn 9, and Reese has it for now. He gets a brilliant move ahead. And now they go down towards turn 12, and now we can see Nico trying to push. He's got some battery to use on the back of the Alpine. He goes to the inside line. He makes a send here on the back, and he has to back off. He couldn't quite get the send done, but Reese goes wide. He goes deep. That loses him some time as they head through in towards the next few corners, and Liam Stevens down to P6. But I think Reese has this covered as they head through in towards the final few corners. What a race this was for Reese Linton. What a race it was for Nico Benz, and also Mirko Soriano. They go back down towards on, and I don't think any moves can be made here. It'll be Reese Linton who takes the opening race here in PSGL PZF2 with a victory at Australia. What a final lap it was between those two, and at the end you couldn't really call who it would have been.
Yep, and right at the end, insult to injury, that is Lund with a crash out. He's going to be crashed out right at the end, just before the line. So he is going to be dropping down to P16 after Sabrino finishes, and a brutal end to his race efforts there. But tonight, what a race it has been. And we have a very big round 1 to discuss.
We do. When you think of championship battles, I don't think that can come into the equation because I think we've had about 5 drivers who have lost their chance of victory due to an incident here tonight.
Yeah, and, well, right out of the way, the early momentum that you want to build, for some drivers, it's been hopelessly dashed, and they're going to have to work to get it back. But on the other hand, we've seen some big upsets coming around the field, and some big winners come out of this chaos. So we jump to the standings, and we can see Reese Linton is going to take the win of tonight in Australia. Nico Benz is going to take the second spot, along with Mirko Soriano completing the podium, and an excellent round for all 3 of them. Then going down the field, you have Tycho Hardy, Yus Nordyke, Liam Stevens, Bradley Holdham, Lenny Papinta, Leon Derbicourt, and Daniel Koya taking the top 10 to a close, with the likes of Joris Krozen, King Gonadort, Klaffenbach, Jan Halliday, Sergio Sabrino, and then our did not finishers like Leo Lund, Kai Pearson, Shimon Lekomsky, Max Groschpointer, and Kamil Stachura. I feel bad for Stachura in particular. He crashed out on the first corner.
I do. I feel bad for him. I think he had contact with someone, and that pretty much ruined his race here tonight. Big shame indeed for the Ferrari man, but the other Ferrari very happy, obviously, being Mirko Soriano with a podium coming out of this race. And I think then again we'll see many reports to the shoot. So I think we might see a few more people pop themselves into some points which they might not have had at the start because of people getting, of course, penalties from that race. But it was brilliant. And I've got to say, hats off to Tycho, Joost, Liam, and Bradley, all starting outside the top 10, finishing 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So big well done to those guys. Of course, with Bradley Holden taking that fastest lap with a 1 minute 18.397. That was, I think, carnage, but a brilliant way to start this season off here, Sappy.
Yeah, as far as season starts go, that cannot be topped. At least here in F2, we've seen everyone bringing their, well, I usually say A game, and I've already said it a couple of times, but this is an A game. This is S game. This is a tier above what we expect. And we saw the drivers fighting to the bitter end on some of these runs, on some of these laps. And even P6, P7 in some cases, as we saw from the likes of Stevens et al., Wow. All I can really say is wow. We're going to see if we can get any of the drivers in our podium spots to come in for an interview. And let's see what they have to say about what just kicked off and what just happened.
Indeed, I think obviously Mirko Soriano, a driver that I think we expect to see on the podium, obviously back in season 34, was looking for the championship. And obviously, as we've already mentioned, lost it in the final round. But he was also, also one of those drivers who was always on the podium, always fighting for victory. So I think it was nice to see him finishing in that top three, of course. And obviously, Nico and Reese are very young, very new to the PC side. Obviously, both of those recently moving over from the Xbox. So those are two drivers now you're thinking a bit, maybe now you could be thinking they could win the championship. Because at the start, I was like, I'm not too sure. They haven't been here too long on the PC. I don't know much too about them anyway on the Xbox side, but you look at them and you think, ooh, they're brilliant. They're performing really really well. So hopefully we can have a word from one of them here in this in the chat soon. Obviously, I've asked if Reese, Nico, and Mirko can come in for a chat. Normally we do take a couple of minutes as drivers want to kind of get themselves a little bit relaxed, chat with their engineers, have a bit of a debrief from what race they had. But obviously going towards the championship itself now, I think with that first round being kind of everyone all over in the air, it kind of I don't think you can really use it to try and say who's the quickest because everyone was the quickest at one point.
Yeah, and as much as we have seen some pretty big results come out of these drivers, the reality is there is no like
Oh,
outright
what say?
quickest. We cannot talk about the outright quickest at this point because, as you say, so many people did get themselves into high spots. They did put on really good quali runs. So we will now hopefully get a word from a couple of them. But yeah, you're all right. It does sometimes take a couple of minutes, and especially after the race we've had for some, I think they're going to need a couple of minutes to cool down and have that sort of breather room because tensions do get high. Tensions do get high. I can't lie about that. In the heat of the race and in the heat of the moment, you get mad when things don't go your way.
Indeed, we do have one of our drivers in the interview room. So Mirko, welcome in. Nice to see you back here for season 36. It's been a while since you've been in the interview room. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very good myself. I think it was a bit of a chaotic race to start it off this season. But for yourself, how did it go? Was you happy with that podium there, or do you think maybe a couple more laps and you could have fought for a victory?
Maybe not the couple of laps, but there has been an incident penultimate lap where Leo Lune was trying to overtake me and eventually hit the Alpha Tauri for I don't remember the name. It was maybe Kai,
Yeah.
who was P3, I don't remember, yeah. Then yeah, I had to avoid the incident, but I saw that coming. Like as soon as I saw him on the inside, I was straight, like I went all the way to the outside to avoid that. Um, so yeah, I lost DRS actually. So maybe with DRS could have been there. Because I arrived very close to them. I had a crazy circular speed compared to everyone. I didn't expect that. Was a bit, of course, I was like a bit of pace in sector 3 and sector 1. But yeah, it's been a great comeback. Started before quali was the best, but it was fine. I'm not a qualifier, as you may know. Then yeah, I was not like very sure about the strategy, but then worked out the final laps, like final 10 laps, so it's fine.
Yeah, indeed it did. Obviously, your teammate crashed at lap one. Do you know what happened to him at all?
I saw that on my mirror. I was like, oh my god. Um, I was not with him in the shadow, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I saw him go around, but I didn't know if you knew what happened to him. I think he got caught with someone who was a little bit behind you, and obviously, yeah, not good for Froze the constructor, but for you, obviously, taking the podium in the first round, very nice. Do you think you'll be able to take it this season? Obviously, season 34, very close to it until you got took out on the final lap for the victory. Do you think you could get it in season 36, maybe?
Um, I'm going race to race. I'm not able to tell you that now.
hmm Indeed. Well,
But
that's all
also,
from me. Anything
yeah.
from you, Sappy?
Yeah, I guess. Well, obviously, congratulations on hitting the podium tonight, mate. What's your kind of what was your kind of look into the championship this season? Obviously, coming in P3, first race out is going to be a boost to the confidence. So, how are you feeling about championship hopes?
Yeah, as I said to Nathan, I'm doing race by race. I already know I'm gonna miss one race, Monaco. Well, what a pity. Yeah, I'll be in vacation, so I'll miss Monaco already. So I can already tell I miss a race. I don't know. We'll see.
We will see indeed. But say that's all the questions from me. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box, and best of luck with the next round, mate. You've certainly set a good first impression here in season 36.
Yeah, thank you.
So obviously we won't get any words from anyone else. Obviously, unfortunately, Nico doesn't want to have an interview, and no response from Reese. So I think that might be it here for this stream, Sappy. I think it was a brilliant start. I think you look at, obviously I was here since season 33 in F2. I think you look back at season 33, 34, 35, and this season. This has been by far the best opening round because you go into this thinking, right, so and so won, so and so got second, but this driver, this driver, and this driver also, dropped down due to incident. They crashed out, so you don't really have anything to kind of take into the next race thinking this person will win because it's just I can't explain how close it is and how it is such an unknown, isn't it, going into the next race now?
It is such an unknown indeed. But with the amount of say talented drivers on the track, remember you have all of these talented drivers, and don't forget the reserves either that we haven't had a chance to see out on track, the likes of Daniel Hjeltsen, Theo McKee, Jerry Van Bussel, Valentin Tyvard, Rashan Jacobs, Andres Lopez, and Louis Welch. You've got such a talented roster on the track this season. It's only going to get more fiery from here. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do and given a chance with the full season. But that is going to do us for tonight. And of course, we've got the next round, driver voted. A bit of a debrief on that, Nathan?
Well, it's going to be Belgium. I said that earlier on. I probably should have left it till the end to be a bit of a grand reveal, but no, we've got Belgium next week. Obviously, a track we all know. I think if you're in this chat and you don't know what Belgium is, you're probably not in the right stream because I think everyone knows what Spa-Francorchamps is. I think it's a brilliant circuit, and also I think it's a test, especially for that qualifying stage, because the lap's so long. It's 1 minute and 40 seconds, a lot longer than this circuit, a lot longer than many others. So I think qualifying will be a bit of a task for the drivers next week, and also the race being quite long, obviously 22 laps around the circuit, it's quite a lot less laps to other circuits, meaning that DRS is going to be a little bit scarce.
Yep, DRS is going to be in scarce supply, but that is next week. Tonight, we say goodnight, we sign off. Thank you for joining us, and you have all been an amazing audience. So keep it tuned in, keep it PSGL. Don't forget to support our sponsors, GT Omega and Sim Racing Centre. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount at checkout for both sites, and do check out their products. But that is us for now, and we say goodbye. See you in Belgium, folks.
Good night. He's got the inside off here, he's through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. You know what we're now to the last